North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's sister Kim Yo-jong said in a statement on Monday that a Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida expressed a desire to meet with his North Korean counterpart at an early date. For more, we're joined by Dr. Mark Barry. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's the North's intention by making Kishida's offer public? Why let the world know about it?
Well, the February statement, not this month's statement, was actually rather, reasonable, hopeful, slightly hopeful tone. And that's fine. But then the really difficult part is the negotiations that must take place behind closed doors, whether they're happening in Beijing or Singapore or who knows, but they're happening at hopefully at a very high level. But I believe that Kim Yo-jong's remarks yesterday kind of threw cold water on the process, and it doesn't make it easier for the diplomats or other senior political figures who may be negotiating this to get this done. And on top of it all, this afternoon or this evening, there was supposed to be a football match between Japan and North Korea in Pyongyang, a qualifier for the 2026 World Cup. And all of a sudden, North Korea decided they didn't want to have the Japanese come, allegedly because of quote unquote disease among some of the players or staff. So as a result, North Korea ends up forfeiting the game. So it's sending a very bizarre mixed message at this time, and it's unfortunate because there's not a lot of light on the horizon politically with North Korea right now.
Definitely. Then we have to talk about what's on Japan's mind. Why does Kishida want to sit down for talks with Kim Jong-un? What is there to talk about between the two?
Well, outwardly, the abductee issue is an extremely emotional issue, even though it only involves a handful of people who may still be alive. Japan, of course, believes that a lot more were abducted, and that may well be true. But the problem is for Kim Jong-un is that his position is, hey, my dad solved all of this back in 2002 and again in 2004 with Prime Minister Koizumi. And, if you want to come see me, that's great. We have a lot to talk about. But the abductees is no longer an issue. So outwardly, that's one of the reasons that Kishida believes he needs to come. And of course, it will improve his rather low popularity and the scandals going on among some of the factions in the LDP party. But also, the Kishida is quite concerned with the military situation in North Korea, the fact that missiles are being launched and many of them landing in Japan's wider economic zone. And quite frankly, I think he's also, Kishida is quite concerned with the closer relationship between North Korea and Russia for a lot of reasons, because that's allowing a bad actor even more access into the neighborhood. And as it is, Japanese-Russian relations have never been all that great since the end of World War II.
Dr. Barry, then I have to ask you, how likely is it that such a meeting will actually happen? You've hinted to me earlier before we went on air, Cuba can play a role here. Let's talk about that.
Well, my point with Cuba is that I applaud President Yoon starting the opening of relations with Cuba, because it really has not improved with the United States, despite Obama reestablishing diplomatic relations. But the interesting thing about Cuba and North Korea is that they have astoundingly good relations. And I think overall, Cuba can be helpful. Now, whether they can be helpful with Japan as opposed to inter-Korean relations or other things, I don't know. But there's an excellent track record that Cuba has in terms of its relationship with North Korea. However, the chances of a summit happening, I think, are the fact that I think the biggest problem is not Prime Minister Kishida, and I don't think there's a huge problem that Biden would have with it happening, and I think he's getting a lot of firsthand information from Ambassador Rahm Emanuel, who's a close personal friend and is now the ambassador to Japan. I think the problem is that Kim Jong-un and his sister And the people close around them are not as talented a group of people who existed around Kim Il-sung and who existed around his father, Kim Jong-il. They're quite green at diplomacy and maneuvering in the good old ways, so to speak, that Stalin and Khrushchev and Brezhnev and Mao and Deng Xiaoping could maneuver. As a result, he's making a lot of pitfalls, Kim Jong-un, and I think he's making it a lot less likely that it could happen, even though the overall international environment is not all that supportive of progress between Japan and Korea right now.
Dr. Berry, before I let you go, in the meantime, a very senior North Korean official has been meeting very senior Chinese party and government officials in Beijing for the last 3 days. What's your analysis of this move? I mean, what is the North trying to get out of China?
Well, they're locked into the fact that it's the 75th anniversary of DPRK-China relations. And it's going to imply, in my view, almost as a certainty, that Kim Jong-un will have to make a trip to Beijing. So what Kim Sung-nam, who heads the international department, and, you know, the most important relations are done party to party between China and North Korea, not on the governmental level. So this gentleman is very, very close to Kim Jong-un. He can speak authoritatively, and he's probably setting up a whole plan of action that would culminate with Kim Jong-un's visit, maybe in October, to Beijing to meet with President Xi. The problem is that he's kind of empty-handed right now. So I think that's another reason that Kim Jong-un really would like to have, on one hand, a summit with Kishida, because he doesn't have anything from Biden or from Trump. But at the same time, he can't give in ways, Kim Jong-un, that Kishida would like him to give in. So this is very sensitive. But I think North Korea has no choice but to show at least some sign of improvement with China, and that's despite the improvement of relations between Russia and North Korea.
Definitely. All right, Dr. Berry, thank you so much for your insight. As always, we appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much.